Hello. I wanted to do a little introduction to Second Step because I know that was some of our coaching goals for this year. And without having students in the classroom to model, I just thought it would be really a good time to go through our boxes and kind of introduce some of the things and how you can use them. I can definitely talk to you more after and give you more tips or more, break it down better. But I just wanted everybody to kind of get the basic overview first. So in the kit, they go through the weeks and they break down each skill. So basically it would be like week 1 is going to be welcoming. That's a pretty basic one. I'm gonna do an example of a lesson for you, but I'm not gonna start with that one because it's almost too easy. Also in your kit is your feelings poster. So usually like the first week of school and maybe even the first 6 weeks of school really, I would have this hanging at the front wherever we sit, and we would be reviewing this every day and we'd be talking about the feelings and how do you feel today. I would make this one of the very first lessons that I do is to talk about feelings. And then they give you the calming down poster, which again, I would start this off in the front of the room, wherever we're gonna be sitting so that we can talk about this. Then when I introduce Second Step and I introduce the STAR area, I would add that to ways to calm down. And once we use more conscious discipline, I would move this over into like housekeeping area or somewhere else where they can still reference it. But it's a really good basic and beginning point. In your box, there's also this Second Step book, which is good. There's a lot of good information in there. There is all the songs that you can use, and there's a lot of good lessons. But really, in all honesty, and this is good for background information. It's good for visuals, it's good for stuff, but what you're really gonna focus on is your cards. So the cool thing about this is the kids are looking at this, and you have it in front of you like this, so you are reading the actual directions on the back. So it's nice because while you're saying to the kids, what do you see in this picture, and they're answering, you could be reviewing what you have to say. It's very scripted, it's very easy to follow along. I like the order that the lessons go in because they definitely start with the easiest, most beginning of the year concepts and move throughout the year. I'm gonna do an example with this lesson, but I just wanted to show you a couple more things first. So you're gonna get the feeling cards in your box. And I pretty much use these all year. First, we do it as an introduction to introduce feelings and talk about what these feelings mean. And I would introduce them over the course of 6 weeks. So for like a whole week, we might talk about happy and sad. And then the next week, we might talk about angry. Usually I do angry and worried. And then we could talk about surprised and frustrated or scared, but I usually do happy and sad first. And then each week I would introduce some different feelings. Now, once I've introduced them all, I'm gonna continue to use them. And sometimes I'm gonna do it by taking a picture and saying, okay, what does this person feel? How do you know? Can you make your face look like this? Make your eyebrows, she's feeling frustrated. I'll say a time I was frustrated. I'll ask them a time to tell me when they were frustrated. We'll make our faces match hers. And there's a mirror. So if the child isn't sure, you can have them practice, well, look in the mirror and tell me, are your eyebrows, facing down? Is your lip curled up? And ask them for features about their face. This also goes really nicely when you're doing senses or you're doing all about me, because it absolutely goes right with everything else that you're saying, and you could talk about feelings more. Then sometimes I'll do like which two are the same, and I'll give them a choice of 3 or 4 feelings. So once we've learned them all, I would show them there's doubles in here. And we can also do it as a transition activity. So I'll lay them out on the floor and say, come pick up a feeling, tell me what it is, and then tell me where you want to go for work time. So they would pick it up, say this one is happy, and I want to go play in housekeeping. So I might show them 3 and say, okay, which one does not belong? Which one is not the same as the others? And then if they pick sad and pull it out, okay, you're right, because these 2 faces are happy and this one is not happy. And can you show me your happy faces? Can you show me your sad faces? Was something today making you happy, or was something today making you sad? I always try to make it as much centered around that child as possible and around that day as possible. So then we're going to introduce our puppets. I literally do this on day one because the puppets are a good way to also kind of distract the kids, and it takes them out of their own frame of reference and makes you more interesting because, you know, if they've spent the day with you already, they probably think, you know, oh, this is how she is all the time. And I always give my puppets personalities. So pick which ones you want to use. But whoever they are, I always ask the kids to name them, or sometimes I'll tell them the name. But every puppet has a name and a personality, and it sticks every single time. So like, for example, this is my Olivia puppet. Actually, this is not, I don't have my Olivia puppet, but there's a girl puppet who has braids, and she wasn't in this kit, but she's the one that we used. And we used her for years, so all her hair had fallen out, and she was looking pretty sad, but we still stuck with Olivia because she went with the personality that I needed. And then this is Bob. And Bob is always like, you know, kind of not motivated, and he doesn't have any friends, and he's scared and he's worried, and Olivia's always like the upbeat one trying to make him do stuff. And then sometimes if I need other personalities, I bring in my other characters. So I just want to show you an example, and what I'm going to do is walk through here and pretend like I'm doing this with the kids. Where did my little thing go, Josh?
It's on the table.
It's on this table?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, I've lost it.
Oh, it's on the ground.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the purpose of this lesson is to teach the children how to focus. So the lesson is going to be focusing attention. And the concept is going to be focus your attention with your eyes, ears, and brain. So this would be week 3, theoretically. Sometimes, like in the beginning of the year, I might do more than one lesson a week, depending on how the kids are doing with it. I might even do like a lesson every day, but sometimes I'll repeat a lesson if I need to. Okay, but so for this one, I'm going to first say, look at the picture. What do you think is happening here? And tell me what you see. And then they might say, oh, there's a boy and he's getting ready to paint. And I would say, okay, is he listening to his teacher? Is he focusing? And then they always reference back on the directions to what you learned before. So for this one, it says, well, that's for the puppet script. So first I would just say, okay, this is Alex. It's art time. Alex really enjoys art. The teacher is giving directions for how to make a sponge painting. This is Alex's first time making a sponge painting, and he wants to learn how to do it. And then I might ask the kids, have you ever sponge painted? I might even actually sponge paint that day because I want this to tie into them and their experience at school. All right, so first the teacher is telling him that first he has to dip his sponge in the paint, and then he's going to press it gently on the paper. And the boy is watching him, and he's listening to his teacher. Look carefully, is Alex following and listening to the rules? Now this is great because you're probably already talking about rules in your class, and you might be introducing new materials, so it'd be great if you could have some little sponges there. All right, then you're going to say, if you think Alex is paying attention to the teacher's directions, tap your head. If you think Alex knows about using an attentoscope, pat your back. And then they're going to say, well, what's an attentoscope? Okay, I'm going to show you what an attentoscope is. So then you could have the puppets, or you could show them. So like this is my little attentoscope, and we made it out of toilet paper roll. You can make them in your class. Every single kid in your class could make one, but you could use something else if there's some other way that you want to make them. All right, so I would use my puppets to act it out. And I would use my boy and my girl. And my girl is gonna say, I have a surprise for you! I'm so excited! I'm following the rules! And the boy is gonna say, I don't know how this works. And she's gonna say, well, I have an attentoscope. And then she's gonna pull it out. And he's gonna say, this is gonna help you to focus your attention. When you put on the attentoscope, you could pretend it's still there. Just turn it on, and all you need to focus your attention. I'm gonna teach you how to do it. So then you're gonna say, when you put these on, it helps you to only see something in particular. And you don't have to worry about the rest of everything else. You're just thinking about one thing. And when you look at something and you listen to something and all the other stuff goes away, it helps you to get smarter and pay attention. All right, so then the teacher is gonna say, when you focus your attention on something, you're using your brain and your eyes. And when you focus your attention, it helps you to learn. And learning helps your brain get stronger. The boy in the story was giving directions for making a sponge painting. Who remembers what you do first? Dip your sponge in the paint. If you agree, clap your hands 2 times. Wow, you're paying attention. All right, then they give some different activities for practicing the skill. But what I want you to think about is when you see these little lessons, and they're really quick and they're really easy. It could be a part of your large group. It could be done right before you go to lunch. It could even be done while you're sitting at the lunch table, like waiting or something. But here's the thing is it ties in the rules, it ties in the feelings, it ties in the emotions, and the puppets make it a little bit more fun. So if you give your puppets personalities, once you have started to go through these cards, and like week 1 is welcoming, week 2 I think is rules, week 3 is focused attention, there's a week for anger, there's a week for solving problems and sharing, all these things come up. But here's the really cool thing about it is you're gonna start to see examples of this in your classroom. So maybe that day you can plan to sponge paint, but somewhere else in the classroom there was a perfect example for focusing attention. I know like when we do the angry one, I always, every time I do the angry one, it coincides with the fight that we've had that day. And I always use that as the example. And instead of acting out whatever the puppet script is, I act out whatever actually happened, be it on the playground or in the classroom, and then ask the kids to help me solve the problem. Like what could he have done differently, or what should she say, or is that a good choice? And I usually read like No David books the first couple weeks, and we talk about good choices and bad choices. So it's just a good way to kind of tie it all together and bring it back so that the kids are participating in what the puppets are gonna do. And I'll stop it, I'll make a really big deal out of it, like, Olivia is mad. Should she be mad? Is it okay to be mad? And yes, it's okay to be mad, but it's not okay for her to hit him. So, you know, we kind of act out some of those things. All right, so hopefully we'll get to talk more about Second Step soon. Thank you so much.